Hi, everybody. Andrew Champagne here alongside J.D. Fox for this week's edition of Champagne and J.D. It's actually not just this week's edition. It is part one of a two-part series. See, our fingers work. They're all functional. We're off to a smashing start to the week. You'll notice J.D. and I both wearing purple. In my instance, for multiple reasons, this is actually a Brooks Brothers shirt that I like very, very much. But it's Breeders' Cup week. And for the first of our two shows, we've got a tremendous guest that, you guessed it, JD, needs no introduction, but I'm going to give her one anyway because that's just the kind of guy I am. She does a lot of really cool stuff for Breeders' Cup. If you're on Twitter at all, you know who she is. I was privileged enough to work with her at TVG for several years, and she taught me as much, maybe more, about two-year-old handicapping as just about anybody. We are thrilled to have Ren Carothers on our show for Future Stars Friday. Ren, happy to have you.
Oh my gosh, this is not a joke. That legit kind of gets me teared up for a couple of reasons. One, I mean, obviously that's an amazing compliment that you just gave me. You've always been an adept handicapper, a well-rounded handicapper too. But also, yeah, we have a lot of good memories working together. So I'm so happy to see you again.
Yeah, for those of you that have followed either Ren or myself, we actually did a number of segments together back for the old HRTV/TVG Extra in a room at least one TVG talent called the Wacky Capsule. I still have some of those tapes. They were not bad. And in fact, if you look at what some entities are doing right now, I would argue they were ahead of their time. But that's a different discussion for a different day. We're going to focus on Future Stars Friday at Keeneland. We've got the first 5 Breeders' Cup races on tap. Big fields, promising two-year-olds. JD, I'm excited. I know you are. I can see Ren trying to, hold herself down from levitating. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, and there's a lot of interest going into this Friday card. Feels a little different than a normal Breeders' Cup because we haven't run at Keeneland for a few weeks. There's not a Thursday card to watch and pick up anything about the turf course, about how things are playing. We're really going to have those first 5 races on Friday to figure everything out, and then boom, race 6, we're going to get going with the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah.
Live to tape, folks. Live to tape. Ren, go ahead.
No, I kind of love that we were simpatico there. Yeah. And I'm guessing a lot of people, maybe you two included, are going to agree with me as we get into the Future Stars Friday card with the Juvenile Turf Sprint, that of all the races on that day, the horse that, if you're looking to single, it's never ideal to single favorite, I understand, but the Breeders' Cup is an opportunity at which it makes sense. And Matt Carothers, whom I'm married to,
plug.
Yes, plug. I mean, we talk about the fact that the Breeders' Cup offers, like you're talking about, big fields. So horses that are logical, win contenders, you'll still get good value on them. So it's not as bad singling a horse on a day like this. And I got to tell you, and I've been saying this, and anybody who's seen anything I've been doing going into Breeders' Cup already knows, Golden Pal will not lose unless he falls out of the gate.
Well, Golden Pal's job did get a little bit harder at the post position draw. He did draw post 14 in a 14-horse field, as we see those beautiful graphics put together by the one and only J.D. Fox. And you see a number of horses with European pedigrees. No shock here. A number of horses coming in from across the pond to contest not just this race, but a number of races over the 2-day event. Golden Pal, the 8-5 favorite, one of many Wesley Ward trainees in this field. And for those of you that are waiting for us to disagree, you're going to need to wait just a little bit longer. Golden Pal, to me, if he runs his race, I agree with Ren, is a very unlikely loser. This is a horse that looked amazing at Saratoga last time out in the Skidmore, won by 3.5 lengths over a horse named Fauci, who is no slouch in his own right.
You almost said Fauci.
Yeah.
You almost went there.
Yeah. Two-back ran a really good second in the Norfolk at Ascot. Did everything but win that day. He looked like a winner with about a 16th of a mile to go and then just sort of hit the wall that some 2-year-olds hit at that point. But came back, was no worse for wear. to me is the most likely winner here. However, I think there's another Wesley Ward runner that you need to consider solely based on the race shape. There's a lot of early speed in this race. It's a 5.5 furlong turf sprint. Of course, there's a lot of early speed. Number 8, Amazi and Pilo, has some early speed, but this I think is important. Does not need the lead in order to run well. If you look at some dyed-in-the-wool turf sprinters that have a lot of turf speed, it doesn't matter if they go 21:43. If there's a horse in front of them, sometimes they're nowhere near as effective. Amanzi and Pilo, I think, could potentially sit a great stalking trip, 2-3 lengths off the pace, and be in position to get first run turning for home. Good luck to Corey Johnson, a part owner of this horse, who also owns Sally's Curlin, running in the filly and mare sprint on Saturday. Amanzi and Pilo, 15-1 on the morning line. If you're playing vertical exotics, that one hits me as a must-use. Does need to improve to stick with Golden Pal, but Amanzi and Pilo could well get the trip that she wants, and at that kind of price, could make the exotics pay a little bit.
And Ren, obviously, I want to give you your opportunity to talk about Golden Pal here, because what a racehorse, and that's tough to say after a 2-year-old campaign so far, but I don't see any way the horse can lose either.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I think for some people outside of racing who know how to take a cursory glance at a form, but maybe don't know really how to delve into it, will go, wow, you're so adamantly backing a horse that's won only one of 3 races. What's the appeal? Okay, well, here we go. Let's go. So his first race was on dirt, well back in, what was it? It was in the springtime, really
April.
early. Yeah, April. So he's keen. And I was actually talking with Wesley Ward. We shot a feature with Wesley yesterday. My days are all starting to blur together. But I was talking to Wesley, and he was very forthcoming about his opinion of this horse, and you can tell he loves him. He thinks that this horse has so much charisma, carries himself like a man, and knows he is. And he was saying that in that race, that when Tyler, kind of gave him a tap, when you've got a young 2-year-old who kind of took off with it, and it's really hard for a 2-year-old, especially at that point of the year, to sustain a bid like he had put forth. And so he felt that kind of got him beat that day. And then when he goes over to Royal Ascot in the Norfolk Stakes, he felt again that button was kind of pushed too early over Andrea Assetti being very excited, knowing what he had under him, but the Learjet just got him that day. So here's the interesting thing. Kieran Fallon, champion jockey Kieran Fallon, was actually looking over Ward's contingent over there for him because due to COVID, to go, protocols with quarantining, it made things very difficult. So Kieran was overseeing the stable. After the Norfolk Stakes, they had the Nunthorpe, which is for horses 2 and up, under consideration. And a horse that he would potentially be facing in the Nunthorpe was champion sprinter Batash, okay, an older horse. And Batash actually did ultimately go on to win that race because Golden Pal did not contest it. But Kieran Fallon had said before it was run that in his mind, if Golden Pal went there, he would definitely beat Batash. I mean, if you're getting that type of praise from a champion jockey like that, based off him just seeing the horse run in person one time, I think that's very impressive. Now, it came as no surprise what he would then do in the Skidmore Stakes. Wesley felt that this horse should actually be undefeated. Again, going back to what he was saying about what happened with, just again, pushing those buttons too early. But I also saw this horse in person at the barn, and the thing that's so funny is that he didn't have his cooler on or anything. Nobody pointed him out to me. Standing on the other side of where the nameplate was, the reason I knew it was Golden Pal was because the presence he has is unmistakably alpha male, grade 1. I am a beast. Come take me on. I'll take you down. I mean, it's unbelievable. And to be quite frank, out of all the races on the card, I will accept any outcome. If he lost, I would legitimately be upset, okay? Legitimately. And here's another thing, and I know I'm going on, but I'm so excited because I actually happened to run into his owner today, Randall Lowe. And Randall Lowe and his wife Brenda, who they're amazing, wonderful people, they campaigned his dam, Lady Shipman. And here's another great tie-in, because Lady Shipman was second in the 2015 turf sprint. She nearly, like this much, nearly got to Mongolian Saturday at Keeneland and just missed, okay? So it's kind of fun to think of this horse sort of avenging his dam, not only from that perspective, but get this, Momos, who's also in the race, three-quarter brother to Mongolian Saturday. How funny is that, right? And Mongolian Saturday beat Lady Shipman. It was actually Randall Lowe who pointed this out. He beat Lady Shipman from the 14 hole. Okay.
And this is why I loved working with you, Ren.
Yeah. No, it's the whole thing is crazy. I love it. And I mean, to go take it even further, I mean, he's the son of Uncle Mo. So you've got another breeder. You've got a Breeders' Cup champion there because he won the 2010 Juvenile, Eclipse champion, 2-year-old male. And then Lady Shipman herself, daughter of Mitch Shipman, who won the Juvenile in 2008. So he's just everything I love. He's look, he's talent, and he's got BC Ped cred up and down.
JD, your thoughts?
Yeah, sorry.
I will just say ditto on everything Golden Pal with Ren. But the long shot I wanted to throw out there is the 13-second to July. I think this is a great story. Obviously, Phil Gleaves, the longtime assistant to Woody Stevens back in the 70s, early 80s, came back to New York a couple years ago, got his first graded stakes win since 2013 with this horse winning the Grade 3 Futurity at Belmont. Was 68-1 in the debut, 15-1 next time out in the Futurity. This is a horse out of an unraced dam that has produced 2 fouls that have, I believe, a combined $2,800 in earnings. I mean, this is just a great story and a great horseman who found a spot and is having a ride late in his training career. I think 2nd of July is one of the better closers in this field in the short 5.5 turf. Obviously, for a closer, the 13-hole is a very tough thing to overcome. But I think 2nd of July deserves a look to hit in your exotics in race number 6, the Grade 2 Juvenile Turf Sprint.
Oh, I also have a fun note. Sorry, not to go. I have a fun note for you, Andrew, regarding Amanzi and Pilo, the filly in the field. Actually, aren't there 2 fillies, or is there just the one? Let's see. She's the only filly. No. Wait, yes, because I'm looking at her again here.
No, Dirty Dangle is a filly.
Oh, that's right. You wouldn't think a horse named Dirty Dangle would be a filly.
Yeah, and I'm wondering how that got past the Jockey Club.
You know, it was Alicia when Suze was telling me. Apparently, it's a hockey reference, but I'm from Michigan, and we're hockey town in Detroit, and I don't ever remember hearing Dirty Dangle. But in any case, yeah, you're right. So okay, Amanzi and Pilo, sire, no nay never, who Wesley also trained, who was undefeated at 2. He won the Norfolk, he won the Prix Morny, and then in 2014 he was 2nd in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint.
Yeah, no nay never as a 2-year-old, 3 starts, 3 countries, 3 wins.
How awesome! See, there you go, right on.
They put it in a stallion commercial. What are you going to do? So we all agree that Golden Pal is going to be very difficult to beat in race number 6.
You have to play exotics to make any money off this thing.
But it's at this point in the juvenile turf where we all start to take 3 very different paths. And JD told me after I submitted the horses that I liked, he said, we're going to have a really fun show because I don't like most of your horses. Well, I don't like most of his horses either, so this is going to be fun for both of us.
I used a much stronger word. I used the H word. I used the word hate.
Hey, I'm just saying, be very careful. You know I have a suitcase full of props off screen here that I may very well use whenever I see fit. So with that in mind, we're going to move on to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, which is race number 7. This one presented by Coolmore, a $1 million purse. Yet another big field, yet another instance in Breeders' Cup lore where if you look at the morning line, it's going to be a really good betting race. Your guess is as good as mine with regard to which of these horses will go favored. There are a lot of European runners coming in. Aidan O'Brien's got a bunch. You see Frederick Rossi, Jessica Harrington, a lot of names that you don't usually see in American programs. It's one of the reasons the Breeders' Cup is as great as it is. This is a really tough race to handicap. And if you're playing any sort of multi-race exotics that start with Golden Pal and you've got a deeper budget, this is probably where you hit the all button and just hope for a price.
Sure.
There is, however, a horse that really intrigues me, and it's a horse that's intrigued me for a couple of months, dating back to when he was training at Saratoga. My top selection in this race is number 4, Public Sector. Public Sector is one of the horses that Chad Brown brought from the Tattersall's sales over in England. And he came over, and I was looking, I remember this vividly. In early August, he was preparing for his debut, and I see him show up. Daily Racing Form has Tomlinson figures for turf. And usually, 300 to 350 is really good. Anything above 300 is good. You don't see a whole heck of a lot above 350. 451. That is the highest turf Tomlinson I have ever seen. I put it on Twitter. A couple of people said, who uses Tomlinsons anymore? All I know is 2-1 was an absolute gift on him in his career debut when he looked like a really good horse, rallying from 6 1/4 lengths back to moderate fractions. It was a really impressive debut, one of the more impressive ones on turf at Saratoga that meet. He runs in the Pilgrim at Belmont. Looking at the fractions, he never had a shot in that race. 25 and 2 to the quarter, 50 and 1. That is slow anywhere. At Belmont, where the turf course can sometimes play like green pavement, it's walking. I thought he ran really well to be second, and I think there is far, far, far more speed signed on in this spot. There are a couple of Wesley Ward runners in here that have some speed. There are a couple of European runners that are going to need to go early. I think Public Sector gets the trip he wants, and I think he takes a big step forward in career start number 3. He's 8-1 on the morning line. It really wouldn't shock me if he went off anywhere from 4-1 to 12-1. It's that kind of race. So when we say long shots to consider, we think they're going to be prices, but we're not going to know until the tote board starts flashing. And with that in mind, my long shot to consider is one of the European runners, and that's number 2, New Mandate, who comes in on a 3-race winning streak. And the reasons I like this European are multiple in nature. Ran a 100 time form rating 2 starts back. That translates into something in the low to mid 80s on the Beyer speed figure scale. And then last time out, he stretches out to a mile and wins a Group 2 at Newmarket. I love the fact that they sent this horse a mile. There are a lot of European runners in here that have gone 6 furlongs, 7 furlongs. We know New Mandate can handle a distance of ground, and you can never, ever, 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 did I mention ever, count out Frankie Dettori in a Breeders' Cup race on the turf. That has been the source of a number of just blind bets on Breeders' Cup Day that have worked out really well for me. Red Rocks, Dangerous Midge, couple of others. New Mandate, a horse that I think you absolutely do need to consider in the juvenile turf. But Public Sector is my top pick. Really looking forward to seeing if that one can capitalize on his lofty potential.
And I'm going to go ahead and my top selection of this race is actually the horse Andrew
We sort of agree here.
New Mandate. We sort of agree. I think Ralph Beckett is not a name that a lot of American horse racing fans know, but a very talented trainer. Actually, in the early 90s, spent, I believe, a full summer at Belmont as an assistant trainer. Kind of went all over the place early in the career, was in Australia, kind of worked everywhere, and now has a really good outfit. And really, this horse, as the horse has matured, has done absolutely nothing wrong. And Frankie Dettori, 2 wins since Dettori's come aboard. I really think this horse has a good shot in the race. And it's tough to say, like, top selection when I'm picking a 12-1 morning line, and my long shot to consider is also 12-1 on the morning line. But I think they're going to be a little different once we get the actual odds, and that's a Barta, the 3. Really, this is a horse that's closed in 2 starts, obviously on the American side of things for Brad Cox, as won the debut at Ellis and then a close second, closing hard at Keeneland. So I think this, in the Bourbon, having a race over this course is something I generally like in this juvenile turf. So I'm giving a Barta a chance as an American contender here. And Umberto Rispoli gets the mount second time on the horse, and we all have seen how talented Rispoli is in California this year.
He definitely has a great clock in his head. I agree that this is a race. It's very hard to just narrow it down to one horse. And so if you are playing the horizontals, I say spread as much as you spread. That being said, I'm also a proponent of having an opinion in a race. As much as I wanted to whittle it down, I really vacillated between two horses, and I don't know that I can commit just yet to one. And one is a Euro and one is not. I'm leaning a bit toward the American, and it's Out of Door, and I'll explain. So I'm going to sound sort of like a Wesley Homer, because later on you'll hear it too.
Wesley Ward with 2-year-olds. You're a homer. You stink. Boom!
I know, right? But here's the deal with Out of Door. If you look at his sheet numbers too, they're very nice, and it's very close to Golden Pal. Now, Out of Door here is coming off a win at Kentucky Downs. The going was soft there. I don't know if he was helped by that, not helped by, or that he won despite it. We'll just not know. But if you look, he's debuted back on July 26th. He's a May foal. So a later, for the layman's out there, I mean, that's late in the season to be born. So I feel like with every start, he's having an opportunity to mature. Now here we're going to stretch out from the 6.5 to the mile. So we're going to see that, potentially we're going to see that pace put him, he's going to be much closer to the front instead of, being back, hanging fourth early on. But not necessarily the case, because I'm wondering if this is also a horse that may just, rate close to it, not necessarily be on it. And I don't really think there is a ton of speed in here. I know what you're saying. I don't know that these Euros will necessarily show live. I know that we have Gretzky, the Great That May. I feel Go Atletico will go. No pun intended. I don't know if their speed is our type of speed in this spot. So I really feel like Out of Door also, with this pedigree, being a son of freshman sire, Uncle Mo. I mean, Uncle Mo's insane, right? We already talked about Uncle Mo with Golden Pal. Now here's a freshman sire by him, Outwork. And we know Outwork could go beyond a mile. So you got that there. Adore You, Tactical Cat. And then I believe the second dam, I don't have it right in front of me, but there's other reason to believe that a mile is no problem for this horse. So I think he's potentially dangerous on the stretch out. And again, if he's in Wesley's barn, you know he's working with Wesley's horses, and he's already then working against competition that's going to bring out his best. No lazy workmates, right? Okay, going back to Out of Door's pedigree, here's the deal. So again, by Outwork, and as you can see, Outwork's by Uncle Mo. You also have to remember, Outwork's out of a daughter of Empire Maker. If you want stamina influence, you want Empire Maker in the mix. So then on the bottom side, we see that the dam's by Tactical Cat. Second dam is by Unbridled Song, who won the 95 Juvenile. So it's just like a really good pedigree. And like I said, I think this horse can stretch. The horse that was also tugging me in the potential win position is Cadillac for Jessica Harrington. Not to be corny, but he cruised to victory by 3.5 lengths in the KPMG.
I see what you did there. Waka.
He got a ticket. To Future Stars Friday, winning the KPMG Champions Juvenile Stakes over good ground at Leopardstown. His figures are consistent. I really like that. I like seeing a horse that you can kind of count on them to show up, even if it's not a win. And he's done very little wrong. I mean, if you go back even to the debut over Soft Brown, he won that by 9, and it was going left-handed. This is a little thing I tend to look at and put some emphasis on when I'm trying to put chinks in a horse's armor. Because, when you get between a couple of horses, you're like, oh gosh, well, what is wrong with this one that gives this one the edge? Looking at a field of horses that include import, especially young ones, I like to take account of which direction have they been running predominantly, and have they had any success running the direction we go here in America. Yes, they hack on the countryside. It's much different from what we do, running our horses in one circle to train. That being said, there is still something to take into consideration about what a horse will do on race day if they've been trained to go a certain way X amount of time. If I've seen a horse that's had success running left-handed, I'm going to give him an edge over a horse that's been running exclusively right or straight. Because at least I know. Because from an equestrian background, you always train, you do what you do to one side, you do to the other side. So the horse is supple and the muscles are balanced. So I always take a look at that. And as I already mentioned, he won his debut going left-handed. He won the Champions Juvenile Stakes going left-handed and by open lengths. Again, the figures are solid here. He's the son of Lope de Vega. Lope de Vega won the Prix du Jockey Club. It's basically the French Derby. Son of Chamardal. Chamardal won the French Derby, among other very impressive races. And Chamardal himself, again, just an impressive racehorse, but the pedigree. He is son of Giant's Causeway. And Chamardal is out of a full sister to Street Cry. So that sire line of Lope de Vega is so impressive, and he's already sired a Breeders' Cup champion in newspaper of record who won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf. So we know this horse is going to be fine. The bottom side, Dance Filly, hello. This horse is, I believe, going to be moved up even further running here in America. Dance Filly obviously runs gangbusters in Europe, but I think they translate so well here too. Oh, and for a price right, Steal Away. And real quick, I'll explain why just real quick on that one. Steal Away on the rail. If you look back at that 8-length romp in the Qatar Prix Jean-Luc Lagardère, the horse in second there, Nando Parado, and this flatters to form up another horse another Wesley Homer that I'm going for. Nando Parado was second in the Prix Morny to Campanelli.
Yeah, now the thing with Seal Away, that the only reason that I wasn't more in love with Seal Away is the horses run up against Go Atletico twice, and Go Atletico's beaten him both times. Yeah. Now, Go Atletico draws very, very wide in this race. Maybe that's what Seal Away needs to turn the tables. But as long as we're talking about Euros, and as long as we've got the petty geek in the room, we've got to take a look at number 9 Battleground. By
Found! Oh, yeah. I know. My petty geek loving heart wants to love this horse. There's cause to think that he's gonna, jump up here, running on the nice, good, firm ground that America has. And he's won his last 2 starts by Warfront, and again, Out of Found, who won the 2015 Breeders' Cup Turf at Keeneland. I want to love this horse. I do. Do we think that maybe we're just overlooking the obvious potentially? Yeah, sure. I mean, it could definitely be the case because it's AOB and Ryan Moore.
Yep.
And of course, that pedigree, but
yeah. The only thing that concerns me with Battleground is the layoff. This is a horse that hasn't run since July. I would have liked to have seen a prep in there, but you don't know how a horse has been training at the yards over in Europe. So I'm inclined to trust Aidan O'Brien. This is a guy that has won every single Grade 1 race on turf under the sun, it seems like. So Battleground will certainly be on my tickets. And if you had to ask me who I think will be favored in this race, that's probably the direction that I would go. But there are a lot of directions you can go in this race. I'm a little bit surprised JD and I agree on one horse that has a shot. Judging by who we like in the last 3 races.
He's so cute, too. Oh, my gosh. I saw him at the barn because I did an interview with Brad Cox.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. I love him. He's a handsome, handsome boy. And remember, being by Intimiship, it's kind of funny. Oh, and also, JD, another point that bringing up about the Bourbon Stakes, which, by the way, Moussa Sabak is also by Intimiship. So they ran 1-2, and In the Mischief, for those who don't know, not only is he a half-brother to Beholder, but he's a half-brother to Mendelsohn, who won the 2017 Breeders' Cup Juvenile. And then what you were talking about with your Chad Brown horse, Chad Brown won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf last year with Structure at a price. So, ignore Chad Brown at your own risk. Part of me also wonders in the back of my head, and this is why, again, I feel like this is just a race, if you can, spread as much as you can throw down. I feel like we might not be giving Gretzky the Great his due a little bit.
Yeah, I think I need to step in here kind of as the Woodbine guy in the room. Really, I've been impressed with Gretzky the Great. when you compare it to what some of the other horses in this race are doing from a numbers perspective, it doesn't quite match up, and that's where I'm a little concerned. I also think that this horse might be better sprinting. I think the mile is at the very outside of what this horse likes to do. That's a little anti what the pedigree says, but just from the motion of the horse, I think the 6.5 furlongs is probably the better route for Gretzky the Great. But obviously, again, I'm not going to question Mark Casse putting him in this spot, and Tyler Gaffalione picks up the mount. Going back to Altador, I always think, and this is painful memories for me because I really thought this horse was the real deal. Was whenever I think Adore You, I will think of Altador's half sister, Petey Bianchi, who's currently running at Indiana Grand, but she ran in the 2017 Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, which is race number 8. The 2020 version, anyway, is race number 8 on our card.
That was a great segue.
Someone went to broadcasting school.
I
sure did.
Love it.
So the shortest field of the Breeders' Cup weekend, and obviously the Bob Baffert-trained Princess Noor is 9-5 on the morning line, and I think if you think you're going to get 9-5, I might question your sanity on this one, as I think this is probably going to be the heaviest back favorite of the weekend in at least the Breeders' Cup races. We've got a field of 7 and some interesting horses in here. Andrew, I'm going to lead off with you and Princess Noor, your top pick in this race.
One note. If everyone on Twitter that says they're fading Princess Noor, not going to bet her, want no part of her at all whatsoever, actually follows through on what they're saying, Princess Noor is the one. Just saying. Now, I don't necessarily think that she'll be as heavy a favorite as another horse we'll talk about later on in the Friday program. We'll get to that one. That's called foreshadowing, kids. Now, Princess Noor passes the eye test in every possible way. Won the debut by 2.5 in hand. Won the Del Mar debutante by 6.5, despite a trip that had some contact in it. Then stretched out to 2 turns in the Chandelier and won by more than 8 lengths. Was ridden out that day. The time, not all that impressive, but remember, it's Santa Anita. Santa Anita is not the Santa Anita of 15, 20 years ago, where allowance or claiming horses were going 6 furlongs in 107. This is the Santa Anita that is a very deep, very trying racetrack. A very safe racetrack as well, by the way. We need to throw that in there somewhere. I was thinking about saving that for the final thoughts segment, but may as well do it now. Kudos to everybody at Santa Anita for a safe meet. Now, Princess Noor here, I think it's a dream setup. Outside post, short field, enough speed to be on or near the lead wherever she wants, and I think may very well be a clean horse all the way around the racetrack. Not a lot of traffic to worry about. I think Victor Espinoza is going to be handed the keys to a sports car and be told, don't crash it. Now, if you're looking for a horse at a little bit of a price to throw in underneath, I would recommend number 5, Girl Daddy, who was 2 for 2 and won the Pocahontas at Churchill in a really fast time, actually, 1:34 and 4 for the 1-turn mile, stretching out to 2 turns for the first time. But by Uncle Mo, out of an unbridled song mare, I don't think the 2 turns is going to be a problem. This is a filly that fetched $500,000 at auction in September of last year. They thought this one was going to be a good one for a very long time, and it certainly seems like she's got a lot of potential. I am fading the runners from the Frisette. I know that is not going to be a popular opinion.
No, it's not
many
popular.
of those. I just have a very difficult time with horses going from the 1-turn mile at Belmont to here. Sometimes that's a tricky transition unless you've done it before, unless you've won somewhere else before. I just think that figure is soft. I see a 95 buyer figure. That hits me as inflated. It just give me Princess Noor. I think Princess Noor is going to hand the rest of these fillies their lunch money. And if Girl Daddy runs second, I've hit a nice little exacta and we've moved on. Princess Noor, 9-5 on the morning line. Maybe she's even money.
Maybe. But I respect Tim Ham as a trainer, and Day Out of the Office is my top pick in this race. I think that Frizette performance was impressive, and I think Junior Alvarado learned a lot about this horse. You see the TrackMan comment, shy, bit, whip late. This horse was in a spot that this horse didn't want to be in, and Junior learned that, okay, the horse didn't like this. I'm going to stop doing it. Horse finished. The horse was eased at the wire in the previous 6 furlong romp, and it's tough to say, that an early 2-year-old grade 3 is a romp, but that's exactly what it was. I think, time form wise, there was a 103 in the 6 furlong race. It was a 112 in the mile, and that is a 3-year-old type speed figure that you'll see from time form in that Frizette performance. So I do think Junior Alvarado learned a lot last time, and I think that's going to be the benefit here. And, I think Day Out of the Office is going to be near the lead. Princess Noor is going to be near the lead. I think a shot to close and get on the exotics. Obviously, it's a 7-horse field, so don't go too deep in your exotics. But I think Crazy Beautiful has done well. A couple, second place finishes in some grade 3 and grade 1 company. Won a nice stakes race at Ellis Park. Brian Hernandez Jr. aboard for the 3rd time. I think this horse can close. I think this horse loves the distance. I think Simply Ravishing was very good last time out. I don't know if we're going to see that same trip setup for Simply Ravishing. I don't think they're going to get that easy a lead with that easy of fractions, even though Luis Saez is still aboard. So I'm going with Day Out of the Office as my top pick and Crazy Beautiful as my long shot underneath. Ren, are you going to continue the love for Tim Ham?
Oh my gosh, I'm so torn in this race. It's such a great race when you consider the fact that you have 4 fillies in here who are undefeated. 3 of them are grade 1 winners. And they all are legitimate, in my opinion. I talked about Baffert today, just to pick up on what you were talking about, Andrew, regarding Princess Noor. And one of the things that's very exciting about her is that she is by freshman sire, Not This Time, son of Giants Causeway. Not This Time himself won the Iroquois, went over to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, and then he had this problem at the gate, but yet he overcame it to get within like a neck of Classic Empire at the wire there. I think their case could be made that maybe had he not had that problem, maybe he would have gotten a Classic Empire. I'm a huge Classic Empire fan. I don't know. But the buzz about this horse going to stud once the horse was real. We were hearing a lot about how good they look, how, people were just picking them up. So by Not This Time is already very cool to see the potential of her ability going forward. But also on that bottom side, she's a smoke show. Grade 3 winner, campaigned by Peter Urton. And then she's a smoke show. Daughter of Wilco, won the 2004 Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Wilco's a son of Awesome Again, who won the Classic in '98. So, just even from that standpoint alone, it's really good pedigree. But anyway, going back to talking to Bob, he told me that, basically she's been winning these races geared down. So I am one of these people who thinks that you look at these buyer figures and you chuck them out. Just don't even pay attention. Also, going back to what Andrew was talking about with Santa Anita anyway, regarding the track being a deeper track and all that jazz. Victor Espinoza has been quoted as saying, as far as, I'm not saying it verbatim, but basically he conveyed that this is the best filly he has ridden. Okay, how long has Victor been riding? Victor's in the Hall of Fame, okay?
Sane, Stellar Wind, a couple others, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, you have to take the man at his word that he has this type of faith. And obviously, and the funny thing that Bob said, too, is it's not like this horse was, her talent was going to be a secret. She cost over $1.3 million, right? But, another thing I was so impressed by was her work before coming over here at Santa Anita. She's working with Spielberg, who cost $1 million, who has gotten 2 grade 1 listings, running. He was third in the Del Mar Futurity and then second in the American Pharoah, or vice versa. I can't remember off the bat.
I know we hit the board in a couple of grade 1s.
But Spielberg, she outworked the heck out of that horse. And then he went ahead in his next race and won and got that maiden broken, even though he's already grade one place multiple times. So, I mean, the fact that you could see the exercise rider like up there trying to hold her back for all she was worth. And when it was finally time to let her go, she happily obliged. So yes, I think she could potentially be a legit monster. Can we take her at that price? I don't know. These are 2-year-olds. You never know when a horse is going to jump up. You've got Simply Ravishing in there for Kenny McPeak, who looks like a 3-year-old in terms of the flesh. She won over this track. She did it gate to wire, and looking like she did it with ease. She herself is a daughter of Laoban, another freshman son of Uncle Mo, which is, again, ridiculous, right? And then the other thing I thought was really fun, she's out of Four Wishes, who's a daughter of More Than Ready. And More Than Ready holds the record for for his progeny winning the most Breeders' Cup championships with 7, okay? More Than Real is one of those horses who won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf in 2010 for Bobby Flay. And then here's the fun tie into that. Her full sister is the dam of Structor, who won the Juvenile Turf last year. And I know we're talking about the dirt, but the reason I tie that back in is because, More Than Ready as a broodmare sire had a victory there just last year. The other fun thing about that mare, by the way, Meg Levy actually purchased her, basically rescuing her for $500, okay? And when I read that, I was like, get out of town. How do you get a mare by More Than Ready for $500? That does not happen, okay? It does not happen. So I did some investigating on the pedigree, and she's tail female. Tail female means mother to grandmother to great grandmother. She's tail female to Miss Disco, who is a blue hen mare, most notably produced Hall of Famer Bold Ruler. Bold Ruler gave us the blessing that his secretariat as a sire. Okay, so I mean, her pedigree is unbelievable, and it's just like, how the heck? Now that story right there is great. You've got a $500 rescue mare who's on the dam of a grade 1 winner. Amazing, right? But then, like you were talking about, Tim Ham, you've got Day Out of the Office. That 95 buyer, I know what you said, Andrew. I think it's legit, and because on the other speed figures, it kind of corroborates the idea that it was a big performance. Tim Ham, this is his first grade 1 winner as a trainer. He's actually been involved behind the scenes with a lot of big horses, like Wait a While, just for one example. Too Much Bling is another. But so it's got to be really rewarding for him, especially being teamed up with Sienna Farm, to have this filly make such a great accounting of herself, being 3 for 3, winning that grade 1 in the Frizette with such style. That 95 buyers, the second highest buyer of any 2-year-old male or female. The highest is Jackie's Warrior with a 100, which he got on that same card. The races were back to back, and the times are very close. The difference, I guess, might be that Jackie's Warrior, what was it, was it 1/5 difference? I can't remember exactly. But just, again, an impressive filly for sure. But if I'm going to make any money here, I think a horse that we might be forgetting about that looks legitimate too, and who was closing, is Beckwith. Here we go, another freshman sire. Again, Nyquist is the sire of Beckwith, a son of Uncle Mo. Nyquist won, of course, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile himself in 2015. And then he won the Kentucky Derby in 2016. He's one of only 2 horses to have ever taken that double down. The other horse is Street Sense. The other thing that I find so interesting is that she's out of a Mineshaft mare. Mineshaft is stamina all day long. 2003's Horse of the Year, son of 1992's Classic winner and Hall of Famer AP Indy, okay? So I liked that I saw her closing. And again, we're going to go 2 turns now. I think she has the goods, and I like that price, and she's got Joel Rosario aboard. So I think this is a horse that, again, is going to get forgotten about in the wagering, and could definitely offer a nice little payday. Maybe surprising, but yes, you do have to wonder, is Princess Noor a legitimate freak? If she is, then they're all up against it. Sorry,
Yeah.
I went off on like a tear there.
No, it's fine. If you can't listen to Ren and learn something, you're the most closed-minded individual on the planet. So
you.
that's why we asked you to come on. This is what this show is for, providing some really cool content leading up to Breeders' Cup Friday. So
Do you want to know something funny to keep your eye out for, by the way?
Sure.
Okay, real quick, I will say this. For anybody out there playing 2-year-olds, something I highly recommend keep your eye out for, especially with these freshmen with Nyquist babies, because one of the things I noticed was all his stakes winners, and I just want to double check that because I know we can edit, right?
Yeah.
I just want to double check something. But I noticed this trend because you've heard of nicking before, right?
Yeah.
I believe in nicking and I don't believe in nicking. I'm sort of of two minds about it. I do definitely think that there are lines that have certain affinities for each other. Definitely. Mr. Prospect or Northern Dancer being the best in my opinion. But that being said, this horse, Nyquist, he's already had, as you see here, multiple Grade 1 winners with Gretzky the Great, Beckwist, and then Lady Lily is Grade 1 place because she was third in the spin-away. What all three of these horses have in common, apart from being by Nyquist, is that their dams are by sons of A.P. Indy. Gretzky the Great is by Bernardini, who, by the way, just on his own as a broodmare sire is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Broodmare sire of Catholic Boy, of Serengeti Empress, of Maxfield, of this Gretzky the Great, just to name a few, okay? So always keep your eye out when you see Bernardini as a broodmare sire now, okay? So Gretzky the Great out of a Bernardini mare. Bernardini, 2006's champion 3-year-old by A.P. Indy. Beckwist out of Mineshaft. Son of A.P. Indy, again, 2003's horse of the year. Mineshaft himself, 2003's horse of the year. Lady Lily out of Pulpit. Pulpit by A.P. Indy. Pulpit also the sire of Capit. So just keep this in mind because I thought that was so interesting.
It's the pedigree. There's a lot to be made if you look at the details. Pedigree-Query.com is a wonderful, wonderful website.
I love it.
And it's a resource for a lot of people if you want to get better at handicapping 2-year-olds.
Yeah.
So we're of different minds in the juvenile fillies. And the juvenile fillies turf is sort of the same thing because, yes?
I do agree with you that Girl Daddy is another, as far as a legit price play. I love the All Ball family. They're great. In fact, going back to Not This Time, they campaigned Not This Time. And they campaigned, and they actually bred, Not This Time got his name because they bred Liam's Map, who won the 2015 Dirt Mile at Keeneland. But they had sold him. So, yes, while we were the breeders, they weren't the owners when he won. So when they had Not This Time, his half-brother, they're like, we're not selling this one. So that's how he got the name Not This Time, which I think is a fun story. But, the All Balls have Girl Daddy. And, again, by Uncle Nose, right there off the top. And like you said, $500,000. They knew it was going to be something special. You don't drop $500,000 on a yearling unless there's some, good pedigree in there and she looks like a good physical. So, yeah, I agree with you. I really like that Pocahontas win.
Yeah. You don't drop $500,000 unless there's like tons and tons of alcohol involved or a wager or something of some sort. So anyway, we're now headed to the juvenile fillies turf. And if you thought we were divided before, we're going to be even more divided now.
Oh, shouldn't it?
Like the juvenile turf, this race is hard. Aunt Pearl, number 5 in your program, is the morning line favorite. I think she's a logical favorite, but I've got a very tough time believing any horse in this field is going to be 3-1. And I say that having picked Aunt Pearl on top, and we'll go into the logic behind that in a bit. But there are a lot of really well-met European runners in this 14-horse field, a couple of also eligibles in there as well. Aunt Pearl did a lot of things that I really liked last time out in the Grade 2 Jessamine at Keeneland. Went fast early, sort of bottomed the field out, and then forgot to stop. Gee, early speed on turf. You can actually press the gas button out of the gate. Who knew? Anyway, she won 1 mile and a 16th at Keeneland in 1:40.4.
No. Broke a track record.
Yeah, Keeneland's turf course traditionally on the slower side. Having said that, In the fall, it was a little bit more firm than usual, so we saw some times that were a little bit quicker. Still, second start of her career, she goes wire to wire, 22-1 for the opening quarter, 46-3 to the half. Florent Giroux hit the gas pedal early and challenged the other riders to go with her. Nobody did, and Aunt Pearl forgot to stop. I think there's a chance Aunt Pearl is yet another talented filly in the Brad Cox barn that could move to 3 for 3. Now, is my top pick. I've got a tough time believing she's going to be 3-1. I think she drifts up 7-2, 4-1, and I think there are going to be a lot of horses that are square prices that have a lot of talent. One of them is number 9, Madone, and all she's done is go 3 for 3. Yes, in California. There's a stigma with California turf horses. It's not without merit. A lot of times California turf horses ship elsewhere and can't exactly replicate the form. I love the fact that she took a big step forward last time out at Santa Anita from a buyer standpoint. She ran 2 buyers in the 60s at Del Mar, won both of those races going a mile. Debuting at a mile is no easy task. That's what this one did. She goes in the Surfer Girl, rallies 5 or 6 wide, has enough left to hold off Tetragonal, has an 80 buyer speed figure that day. And like with some of the other races, I do think there's going to be some speed signed on. Wesley Ward has a number of very fast horses in this race, breaking from post 10 and post 11. That means at least one of them is going to hit the gas pedal early, maybe try to compete with Aunt Pearl, at the very least keep Aunt Pearl honest going into the first turn. And those aren't the only speed horses in the field either. There are some other horses that might have some surprising early zip as well. The faster they go early, the better Madone's chances figure to be. She's 10-1 on the morning line. I think that's a very fair price.
Andrew, I'm trying to figure out why you think we all disagree on this race, because I think me and Ren see this race pretty similarly, and that's taking a horse out of the Wesley Ward barn on turf.
Yeah, that's right. You're both Wesley Ward loyalists. Boom!
It's also my wife's favorite pasta, to be fair.
That's
but
right.
But Campanelle, I mean,
Hi,
really,
Alyssa, get well soon.
Oh yes,
that.
yes.
So the debut at Gulfstream Park, I would like to call that a public workout, because that's basically what it was. Like, horse kind of just wandered around, meandered through the entire course, didn't care, still beat everybody by 3.5. Then, shipped to England, blinkers on, and still performed really well, winning a Grade 2, and then went to France. And Darley was the sponsor of the race. I'm not going to try to actually pronounce the name of the race, but it was a Darley-sponsored race in a series that they have there in France, and just took the lead right when she needed to and got the job done.
Can the guy named Champagne give you a French lesson?
Ooh,
sure. Okay.
You're welcome.
I'm not going to try it, but thank you for that.
It's why I'm here. I'm here for comic relief, picking winners, and to give you French lessons.
And I'm pretty sure, I know that it's in the pre-morning we hear her called Campanelle, but I believe Wesley likes calling her Campanelli. Campanelli.
Yeah, it's an Irish bread named after an Italian pasta, so I don't know.
You gotta love it, right?
Exactly, but I think from a pedigree standpoint, I don't think this horse is going to have a problem stretching out to a mile, coming off of 3 successful sprints. My long shot to consider underneath is Royal Approval. Obviously met up with Campanelle the first time and kind of made a similar move for Wesley Ward, actually followed into the same race that Campanelle ran in Royal Ascot, and then shipped back and has been very impressive since, winning at Kentucky Downs and at Belmont, 2 different turf courses, to say the least, and now we'll be trying the 5th different turf course in 5 starts. But I do think that, again, these 2 Wesley Ward fillies, I'm going to kind of put them together from this. They're bred for it. I'm not concerned about either of them making the mile.
Well, I would understand why somebody might, because Kodiak was speed. He, though, is a champion. He wasn't a world beater himself as a racehorse, but he did set a record as a sire of 2-year-olds, really game 2-year-olds. And he himself, Kodiak, a son of Dane Hill, Kodiak 3/4 brother, to another speedster in it's coming to me. It's coming. Invincible Spirit. And then you get like some more speed on the bottom. So I can understand why some people would be concerned. I'm not concerned for royal approval, obviously, being by Tiz now. But that being said, I've seen Campanelli in person. She's a big filly, like big leggy filly. I don't have any concerns for her about getting a mile at all. And also, she's a dominant filly. Going back to what you were talking about with her running lines, she's beaten males on 2 occasions. She beat them on debut because for those who are, again, just scanning the PPs and, take in mind, races that are filly restricted will have a circled F. You look at her PP, she has 2 races in which is open company. And so it's fun because Leslie actually pointed something out that I had not noticed before, and that royal approval was actually favored over her on debut. So the fillies both beat the boys that day running 1-2. So as you said, they go run at Royal Ascot, where Campanelli just kicks butt. The horse who ran second that day, Sacred, you will see in the running lines of another horse entered on Future Stars Friday, and that horse is, you better believe it. You better believe it. Just beat Sacred in the Group 2 Flying Childers. Okay? Sacred, obviously, also a filly. That's really game. So then, Wesley runs her there in the Pre-Morny. There were a couple other fillies in there, but again, it's open company, so males. And I might have already mentioned when we were talking earlier, but you see that horse there, Nando Parado. Nando Parado ended up running second in another Group 1 over there in France to Away, who's in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. So the form holds, and those are just 2 on the running lines examples of that. I actually went through the racing post and looked at all the charts, basically did chart work through racing posts to see just how good these horses are. And the form holds up. I really do feel that Campanelli is a type of filly who is, I mean, again, we were talking about her dynamics. I really feel she's an alpha type mentality, not just over fillies necessarily, but whatever competition happens to be in her stratosphere. She is very dominant in the way she carries herself. And if anybody is into watching replays, I highly recommend going back and watching her in the Pre-Morny. This is a horse that is relishing everything she's doing out there. And when you see a horse enjoying their work, you know how we even say when you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life. When they love what they're doing, it comes with ease. And she just looks so good out there. And Frankie Dettori, he was so impressed with her and didn't think she was going to have any problem getting a distance. And I can't remember who told me today, but somebody told me that they heard Frankie say that that's his best chance this weekend.
Really?
Yes.
And we didn't lead with that?
No, I saved it for last. It's like my flying dismount on that segment. I absolutely love her. Not to take anything away from Aunt Pearl, a huge fan of Brad Cox, of course. Aunt Pearl's got great pedigree. We already talked about Lope de Vega, how he's already sired newspaper of records. Aunt Pearl's out of Matari Pearl by Hurricane Run. For those of you, I'm sure there's many who are not familiar with Hurricane Run here in the States, but he was Carte Horse of the Year in, I believe, 2005. He won the ARC as I believe, a 4-year-old later. He won the ARC as a 3-year-old. That was part of his Cartier Horse of the Year campaign, I believe. I will double check on that for you. But anyway, a Horse of the Year, no less. And so just really well bred. And then, like you said, what she's done is so impressive. That stakes record she shattered had been in place since 1999. So, and then I believe when I was talking to Brad, he was talking about he was working her inside horse, trying to get her to rate, and he was very happy with what he was seeing from her. So I do not think that she's necessarily a one-dimensional horse that has to go to the lead and take it on.
Man, I got to tell you, that makes me nervous. Maybe she can rate, but is this the time to start with that?
Right.
Oh, man. Can't you just wait until a grade 3 in January or February when you're prepping for something else? On this kind of stage, oh, man.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, admittedly, there's a reason I'm on this side of the screen and not worrying about leading horses over. I know there's a head in front. I know there's a rear end in the back, and hopefully there's an engine somewhere. But if the horse has that much speed, I think you use it. And I think Florent Giroux, one of the best speed riders in the country, knows that too. So,
and I think really what we can look at from a pace scenario in this race is I think my long shot Royal Approval and Aunt Pearl are going to be tied at the hip here. I think they're going to be the two horses that are going to go to the front, and we'll see if Aunt Pearl wants to let Royal Approval try to prove that, obviously from a pedigree standpoint, by Tisnow, Out of Touch the Moon, Malibu Moon on the other side.
Malibu Moon was the Indy.
So I mean, lots of distance, but so far has been a sprinter. So it'll be very interesting to see. And we haven't talked about Plum Ollie.
He was born on my birthday, so I'm kind of like, hey, she's not done anything wrong. It's Christophe Clement.
I mean, you look at what this horse has done. I mean, $65,000 Keeneland September purchase that's already banked $414,000 for the connections, and you might as well put her in the spot. Was impressive in the Miss Grillo last time out at Belmont. 4-1 morning line, I think, is probably going to be doubled by the time we actually see the horses hit the gates. But an interesting horse, and obviously the second co-second choice in the betting. Don't expect her to be there, but an interesting, fun horse, and Christophe Clement always will have a shot on the turf.
Yeah,
my price play is going to be Miss Amulet, 12-1 on the morning line. By Sir Prancelot. We had Lady Prancelot run on Future Stars Friday last year. She didn't. Was it last year or the year before that? I can't remember exactly. She ran. She's a Future Stars grad. She didn't show up that day. She had some sort of issue, I think, out of the gate or something, and then she might have even run last. But she is now a Grade 1 winner. She won the American Oaks at 10 furlongs. So this filly stretching out, I don't see it's going to be a problem. So you get some precociousness, Oasis Dream, champion, 2-year-old. And this filly is coming out of a half-length runner-up performance in the Group 1 Cheveley Park. And she's done very, very little wrong. I mean, my gosh, she's 3 for 7 with 2 runner-up performances. I brought this up earlier. We've only seen her either all those races have been on straight courses except for one right-handed go. But it's Julian Leparoux in the irons, and he's so good, and I'm gonna when you're preparing a horse to come over here, I'm sure they take everything into consideration. So I think that this is a filly that could make some sense and could really bolster your return on investment as a long shot price play.
Miss Amulet, I like the European form. My question with her is, can she go a mile? I'm seeing 5 furlongs, 6 furlongs, whatever. Having said that, 12-1 on the morning line, and I think you'll get it. So that's baked into the price a little bit. And that makes a horse like that a little bit easier to throw in on the ticket, because it's not like you're expecting that horse to come in at 5-2. It's baked into the price. And that goes back to the appeal of the Breeders' Cup, where you're going to get value on a horse like Miss Amulet, and maybe even one of the Wesley Ward trainees like a Royal Approval, who's 10-1 on the morning line by Tisnow out of a Malibu Moon mare, should love 2 turns. I'm hoping we get that kind of a price on Madone, and if they go fast early, maybe Madone picks them all up late.
I'm a big fan of Simon Callahan, and obviously he knows how to get a horse ready for Breeders' Cup. I will say also, one thing I find interesting, and it may just be the connection situation with it being O'Brien, but you do see that Ryan Moore, who was on Miss Amulet last out, is now on Mother Earth. And I don't know if you read anything into that. I don't know if maybe that means he doesn't have as much faith in the other filly, or if it's just a loyalty thing to O'Brien.
I think it's loyalty, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and he's ridden Mother Earth before.
Yeah, and Mother Earth is coming in off of a decent third, going a mile in a Group 1 over at Newmarket. A 100 time form rating is pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a horse you throw in too. It's that kind of race where if, say, Aunt Pearl bounces or a couple of the Ward horses don't get out of the gate, weird stuff could happen. this may very well be an instance where if you're playing a pick 5 starting in the Juvenile Turf Sprint, you single Golden Lad, you single Princess Noor, you single the favorite in the Juvenile we're talking about, and you buy the Juvenile Turf and the Juvenile Phillies Turf and hopefully get a price home. I mean, it's that kind of race. It's that kind of sequence. And as we've mentioned, it all caps off with the Breeders' Cup Juvenile going a mile and a 16th. We've got a field of 14. In the eyes of many handicappers, this is a one-horse race. That one horse, your 7-5 favorite, number 7, Jackie's Warrior. Steve Asmussen trains this one. Joel Rosario will ride. All this horse has done in 4 career starts is win all 4 by daylight. He won the race that was named after me more than 100 years before I was born, the Champagne, last week. 100 Beyer speed figure. He had things pretty easy that day, getting out to an easy lead in 23 and 46 and change, and there was no way any of those horses were going to catch him. Reinvestment risk also shows up in here. Chad Brown has been high on reinvestment risk since he got him. Early in the Saratoga meet, he mentioned in an interview with the Fox Sports folks that he had a couple of offspring by Upstart that he really liked. Reinvestment risk was one of them, and Jackie's Warrior has eaten his lunch twice. For that reason, Jackie's Warrior to me, I'm not going to get cute. I think he's a single in here. The hesitation, if there is one, is that this is his first time going 2 turns. We haven't touched on this yet, and it is worth noting. The mile and a 16th configuration at Keeneland has the short stretch. If you can't get 2 turns at Keeneland, you can't get 2 turns anywhere other than a bull ring. I don't think that's going to be a problem. Jackie's Warrior has a lot of speed, but as he showed in his debut, he doesn't need the lead in order to run well. I think it's a case where Joel Rosario is going to let him use his natural speed to carry him where he wants to go. If that's on the lead, great. If it's sitting a length and a half, 2 lengths off the pace, that's fine too. I think Jackie's Warrior is an incredibly talented horse, a son of McLean's music that I think is going to be very tough to beat. Now, for my long shot to consider, if I thought Classier was going to be anywhere close to the 12-1 on the morning line, he would have been the horse I was going to use. However, this is a Bob Baffert trainee who looked very good first time out at Santa Anita. I think he's going to get bet in half. I wouldn't be surprised if Classier is the second choice in this race. And while I think Classier runs second, I can't use him as my long shot to consider because I don't think he's going to be a long shot. So I'm going to go to the other Steve Asmussen runner, way, way, way out on the outside in the 14 hole. That's Calibrate. Calibrate looked excellent first time out at Saratoga, winning what seemed to be a loaded maiden special weight race. At the time, a lot of people thought it was one of the best maiden special weight fields at Saratoga that entire summer. He won easy. 4.5 lengths, was the 2-1 favorite that day, entered an 80 Beyer speed figure. That's great. We're off and running. Off to Keeneland we go. Insert the Price is Right losing horn here. You know what that is? I think it's a bounce. I think that race was just too bad to be true. Now, does he have to improve in order to run well against some of these? Absolutely. But this is a $340,000 purchase with a series of strong works. I love the Asmussen work pattern because if an Asmussen horse is well met in a big spot, you'll see a big work 2 works back. October 25th at Keeneland, 5 furlongs, minute and 1, third fastest of 41 at the distance. The post position is a big, big problem, but I think Calibrate is well meant. And if you're looking for a way to get some value out of Jackie's Warrior, put Calibrate underneath and hope Asmussen runs 1-2.
I have a bit of a different approach.
Oh, do you now?
Yes. So I'm looking at Jackie's Warrior, and obviously, 4 strong performances, hasn't done anything wrong. But in this case, I'm looking for a horse that I think is a little more lightly run, that isn't necessarily doing something for the first time, and I want somebody that's got the experience on the Keeneland course. So I'm going in a couple different directions, but for my primary play, My top selection is the 11 Next. Now, Next for Wesley Ward happened into the dirt surface at Keeneland last time out and still was 9-5 and proceeded to beat that field. Who was in the field? I mean, not a whole lot, but 11 3/4. Drew off, could have won by even more. I know it was a first level allowance, Andrew. I know that's where you're just.
It was off the turf. Any horse that was well meant. Oh, what a pretty horse!
That's next.
Next, I'm sorry. I'm very, very sorry here. Next, you're not of this caliber. You're a very nice-looking animal. Wesley Ward is a phenomenal 2-year-old trainer. And that is a huge smile, and I really hope that the person taking the photo fed you lots of peppermints. I think you are well meant for a race down the road. Not here!
I think the first time going 2 turns, this horse ran really well. Obviously did not like the synthetic surface at Woodbine on debut, but looked well on turf. Looked well on the dirt surface. I think the upside is there. I think we're going to get much more than 15-1. And I also think based on the mechanics of the horse, I think there's a couple gears there. So if they do go fast early, I think this horse can have something left in the tank stalking the trip. My other horse, who I also know Andrew absolutely despises in this race, is the 13 Rom Power. For Mike McCarthy, obviously, the American Pharaoh, that was not the best drawn version of it that we're ever going to see, and did not win that race, finished second. But I do think getting that experience under the belt and kind of having some trouble with the break. Now, obviously, what my key here is, I think Ron Bauer is a player in this race with a clean break. Has that happened so far in 3 career starts? No. Will it happen on Saturday? Hopefully.
Well, we know it won't happen on Saturday because this is Future Stars Friday. So if you're banking on this horse breaking well on Saturday, in the words of the immortal Wade Barrett, I'm afraid I've got some bad news. Where's my gavel? I thought I had a gavel around here somewhere.
Yeah, so Ron Bauer, with a clean break, I think has a good chance to hit your exotics, and I think this is the race where they've got the jackpot super high 5, and I think it's worthwhile if you've got if you do well early in the day, because that is going to pay a load of money if you can hit it and be the lone ticket here. Point of order. It's a 14-horse field, and you're advocating for a super high 5 ticket. I'm just saying that if you hit the super high 5, you're going to be the only one who will win it.
Okay, that's fair. I appreciate the clarification. Now, I sincerely hope that our esteemed guest will be bringing some reason, logic, and fact to the proceedings, because the more I look at Next, the more I'm going, wait, what?
Okay, he's not my pick here. I actually talked to Leslie about this. But he won a spot in my heart for sure, because I was hanging out there. I got that photo. He is so flippin' adorable. Like, he loves the attention. He liked having his photo taken. He was just chilling. He's nice and relaxed. He was actually yawning in that photo, but it looks like he's roaring like a lion, because if you know how you can do the live photos on your phone?
Yeah.
So in any case, I was talking to Wesley about the fact, because obviously you see the horse debuted on synthetic, then he was on turf, and then as JD pointed out, the reason he ran on dirt was because it came off the turf. And he, romped in there by over 11 lengths. Was it 11 3/4?
Yeah, 11 3/4.
An 11 3/4 length. Granted, you have to consider, well, these are horses who are looking to run on turf. So maybe, it's not like he's going against horses meant for dirt necessarily. And so maybe you can account for that to be why he, won by such a big margin. But that being said, the buyer did come back in 82, and he did have the rail that day, but he did go to the lead and whatnot. But in any case, I digress. Wesley told me that he was concerned about the amount of speed in the race, and that he doesn't know necessarily if this horse is, he doesn't want, this horse has great speed, and with other speed in there, I mean, he did not indicate to me necessarily that he knows for sure whether or not the horse can, rate and whatnot. That being said, he thought the horse deserved a shot. The horse, he said he normally doesn't turn these horses around quickly like this. As you see, that race was just on what was the actual date so I don't misrepresent.
October
It was
24th.
October 24th.
Yeah, October 24th. And he normally doesn't bring a horse back that quickly, but he feels so good right now. He looks great, and he feels the horse deserves a shot here.
And Wesley Ward, with that turnaround, Ren, the last 365 days, he's done it 4 times, 2 wins, 2 seconds.
Ooh, that's a juicy stat. Very nice. I will say the horse that I went for on top. Oh gosh, I hate doing this. Because I love undefeated records. I'm a huge fan of Jackie's Warrior. I am. But if I'm giving any advice into trying to make even a little bit more money, then I have to look at this as how do we look for vulnerability here? And the way we're looking at vulnerability, and I say this also saying that I would be so happy to see this horse go on and have an undefeated season. There's a great story behind him. I don't right now want to not get into it without being able to convey it in depth. But if you go to ABR, they've got the background on why this horse is named Jackie's Warrior. It's so heart moving, and I highly recommend reading it. But again, we're talking about betting. So if I'm looking to make some money, I'm going, and even if I don't get my 12-1 and it's bet in half, here's the thing about class here that just kind of blows my mind. Here again, you've got, okay, people are like, oh, 78 fire, but just like, again, it was at Santa Anita, and we've already talked about that. This horse debuts at 6.5 furlongs, and he's by Empire Maker out of a Bernardini mare, okay? This horse should be debuting at a mile.
He should be going 9 turns.
Well, I'm saying debuting at a mile, but then, running all day.
That might be your Belmont winner next year, assuming we're back to normal.
He might be a Derby winner. I don't know. Like, here's the deal with this horse, because the nice thing about it is not only do you have, again, the fact that you're by Empire Maker, and another key point aspect to this is Empire Maker, don't forget, yes, he won the Belmont Stakes himself. And in fact, there was this quote, and isn't this going to blow your mind? So Bobby Frankel trained Empire Maker, and this was at the same time he also had Ghost Zapper in the barn, but this is before Ghost Zapper was like Ghost Zapper, right? And at the time, Bobby loved Empire Maker so much that he said he wanted to be remembered for having trained Empire Maker. That's how much he thought of this horse. Empire Maker had said, not only did he produce Pioneer of the Nile, who would then go on to sire American Pharaoh, our first Triple Crown champion in 37 years, who won the Breeders' Cup Classic also. But Empire Maker also sired the likes of Royal Delta. Okay? The thing is, a 2-time, it says Ladies Classic. It's the distaff. She won it twice.
We're calling it the distaff. The Ladies Classic term was an unfortunate error that
I know, right? Why did that happen?
It made no sense even as it was happening.
All right. In any case, so Empire Maker, obviously, we know those horses can get a distance. And then, like I said, on the bottom, here's the Bernardini factor again. And we already talked about Bernardini as a broodmare sire is just absolutely phenomenal. Do not ignore these horses. Do not do it. You do it at your own risk, okay? That's like ignoring Chad Brown on turf.
Or Frankie Dettori in a Breeders' Cup.
Exactly. So don't do it. Don't ignore a horse out of a broodmare by Bernardini. So Bernardini won the Preakness, second to Invastor in the Classic. But, I mean, in between, we know Bernardini was also amazing. Travers and Jockey Club Gold Cup. So the thing with this horse, the point I'm trying to make, and I'll sum it up, is he wins that impressively. It was with ease. Go back and watch this race, people. This is a hand ride. This was a glorified workout. This is an exhibition, whatever the heck you want to call it. And the action on this horse is so flippin' smooth. And I kid you not, I was talking to Bob Baffert today, and I brought up this horse and the fact that, wow, you're kind of flying in under the radar here last minute with this horse. At some point over the course of this little conversation with him, the name American Pharaoh came up. Not from me, from him. I cannot remember right this very minute the exact context, but the fact that you even bring that horse's name into the conversation about this colt off one start is something you gotta be mindful of as you're looking at this race. We've got Florent Giroux aboard, who obviously, I mean, very capable rider. Great. It's got a great clock in his head. I don't think this horse needs the lead. I think this horse simply got the lead and was able to romp because he's just that good. And that's what's kind of scary about this situation. If he can win with that type of ease, sprinting, when this horse is bred to go 2 turns, win a Derby, win a Preakness, win a, bred for. We don't know. I don't want to check any boxes just yet. But he's bred to do all the classics. That makes it very, very intriguing, and I cannot resist that. And again, it's Bob Baffert. Again, yeah, you're not going to get 12-1 because of the Baffert factor alone. I think if it was any other trainer, somebody would be forgiven for ignoring a 4-length victory on debut. I can understand that, but Bob's name's going to bring attention to this horse. As well as that $775,000 price tag. Another keynote I want to make about the horse also is he has Breeders' Cup Pet Cred in there, even though his sire didn't win it and his broodmare sire was second in the Classic. He has a champion in there of the 95 Sprint. And I'm talking about Desert Stormer. He is from the female family that includes Desert Stormer. Who beat the boys that day. I believe she was 14-1, upsetting them. But, and who's involved is Frank Lyons. And so, it's just a great story. And again, a very intriguing horse. And another horse that I do want to point out to you again, the Bradcock Essential Qualities. I think he's legitimate as well. And the other thing that we're talking about with lightly raced horses, and I was talking about this with Brad, is the fact that when you look at that breeder's futurity, Luis Saez came back. This is what Brad Cox told me. Luis Saez came back off that win and said that horse had no idea what he was doing out there. So if he didn't know what he was doing out there, and he won the race by 3 1/4 lengths, and he looked so happy doing it, by the way. Body language does mean something. If you go back and watch the replay there, this is hey, I'm out here, I'm having fun, what's going on? And it looked like after the wire, he would be going around and around, as you're saying, in terms of a horse who can get a distance. He's certainly bred for that too. He is by Tap It by Pulpit by AP Indy. Tap It sired, multiple winners of the Belmont Stakes, for crying out loud. And then the dam there, Delightful Quality, Elusive Quality. Elusive Quality adds a bit of speed into the mix, but that dam is a half-sister to Folklore, who won the 2005 Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, was Eclipse champion 2-year-old filly, and is the grand dam of Contrail, who just won the Triple Crown in Japan. So it's a very deep. Oh, and also the family includes Come Dancing, which I think is interesting because she's in the filly and mare sprint this year.
Yeah.
And is a grade 1 winner. I know she hasn't been on form really, or hasn't revisited that, but a grade 1 winner and a very, very talented horse. So it's a great pedigree. Brad is very excited about this colt. This is the type of colt that he said, it keeps you. I forget. I don't ever quoting somebody verbatim if I don't know it 100%. But that I'm the type of horse that you really might think, oh, could this be the Derby horse? So that's why I'm saying, if he's done what he's done already, being according to Luis Saez, green mentally, what's he going to do when he puts it together? Is he going to put it together in time for the TBG Juvenile to visit a thoroughbred after Carolina? I don't know. We'll see. But surprise, surprise, as far as another big price play, I do kind of go with J.D. about Rombauer.
That's, you know what? As a price play underneath, it's one thing, but he lost me on next. I'm sorry. I think that's just, oh boy. Now, real quick before we move on to the final thought segment, I'm happy you brought up Essential Quality, because my takeaway on the Breeders' Futurity was the same as Luis Saez's. Essential Quality was looking around, waiting for somebody. Legs were all over the place. Horse that's sort of still growing up, and he's a son of Tappet. That happens. A lot of times, offspring of Tappet tend to take a little longer to mature and grow up. So that's on brand. Can he repeat that form? I'm not sure. What did he beat in that race? I'm not sure. The runner-up from that race, Keep Me in Mind, is in this race, and he's 30-1 on the morning line. Not quite sure what he beat that day other than Calibrate, who may have just bounced. So that's my concern with him. The other horse that I do want to bring up as a potential disruptor in the event all hell breaks loose on the front end and a whole bunch of horses and riders go on suicide missions is number 9, Sitting on Go. Sitting on Go.
For the Albas.
Yes.
I like him too. I do.
2 for 2, and the faster they go early, the better his chances figure to be. The thing is, though, short stretch at Keeneland. So when you see a closer moving up on the far turn, know that they're going to be running out of ground pretty quickly. And that's one of the reasons that I really like Jackie's Warrior in this spot because, look, is he a 1.25 mile horse? I don't know. McLean's Music ran once. Ran a whole
114 buyer. 100
was brilliant. Whatever the hell that means, he was.
Trained by Steve Asmussen. Who also trained his dam, Forest Music.
Bottom side pedigree. And
but wait. There is cause to think that Jackie's Warrior can stretch.
It's almost like I set you up.
I know. No, I'm just going to say this. So you see that sire there, and I would forgive anybody for going, who the heck is AP 500? I'd forgive you. But you can guess who his sire is, right? Who's his sire?
AP Indy.
Boom. Okay. AP 500 is by AP Indy, and then his dam is a half sister to Sakawista, who won the distaff.
Okay, JD, I know you went to broadcasting school, but just in the grand scheme of things there, that is called an alley-oop. Because I did do my research, and I did set her up for that. So you know what? JD, take notes.
I love it.
I'm taking error notes right now. You'll see them. They're
okay,
happening.
Good.
I mean, when Sitting on Go gets on the turf, call me.
Oh.
Bottom side pedigree. There's turf there. More than ready. The bottom side, a lot of turf. Giants Causeway up top with Brody's Cause as the sire. Yeah, there's some turf there. And Churchill Downs main track sometimes tends to play a lot like turf. Gee, wonder who the first person to tell me that was. So at any rate, Breeders' Cup Friday. We've got 5 races that are all grade 1s. There's an undercard at Keeneland that's very, very good. Wherever you happen to be, however you want to get involved, get involved. There is something for everybody. There's a bunch of multi-race exotics going on. I'm sure there are a bunch of multi-day exotics going on. Go to your ADW of choice and get down on this. This is going to be a lot of fun. These are the 2 days that we as horse players live for every year, and for good reason. These are the days where champions get crowned. These are the days where, if you know what you're doing, you can make a lot of money. I'm still writing thank you notes to Blame for holding off Zenyatta in the 2010
Why did you just do that?
Still got it. I haven't worked with her for 3.5 years. I had to do that at some point. Yes!
Oh, no.
And you know what I just did? I just assured myself of hate tweets from anybody who watches to this point in the show. So you know what? That's just fine and dandy. But at any rate, on a serious note, all kidding aside, This has been awesome. Ren, thank you so much for dropping by. We've got our final thoughts segment coming up, and I just wanted to give you the floor. Anything else you like on Breeders' Cup weekend? Anything else that you're watching? Go ahead.
I'm just thankful we have the Breeders' Cup. What a crazy year it's been. This has been sort of that oasis in the distance that you could look forward to as a respite to relax and get your mind focused on something that brings you joy, and following the journey along with all the win in your ends has been wonderful. You know, ratcheting up that excitement all the more as we're now just, on the eve of it all. I'm so also thankful to be in a position where I get to see these horses up close, talk to the connections. I think there are so many great stories in play. Again, check out the backstory on Jackie's Warrior's name. Again, the story with Golden Pal going head to head against a horse who's a 3/4 brother who just narrowly beat his own dam at Keeneland in the 2015 Breeders' Cup turf sprint. And then, something else I think is interesting if looking ahead to, another storyline to follow that's kind of fun on Championship Saturday is that in the filly and mare turf, you've got Sister Nat and Sister Charlie, who are half sisters in the same race, and their half brother won the ARC this year. It's like, what a family that one is, right?
Yeah.
And as far as I think everybody's really excited to see the showdown between Monomoy Girl trying to, win the distaff for the second time. If she does do that, she joins Hall of Fame company of Bayakoa, Royal Delta, and Beholder, because they're the only 3 horses to have ever won the distaff twice. We'll see if Swiss Skydiver has anything left in the tank after that amazing gutted out performance, getting up or holding off rather Authentic in the Preakness. That blew my mind. But now we're going to go against a beast like Monomoy cutting back to 1 1/8 miles. It makes it very intriguing. And then as far as the Classic goes, my goodness, I think people might be thinking, forgetting about Sizzle Law just off of one flat performance in the Derby after maybe peaking in the Travers Stakes. He's such a well-bred horse, brings a lot to the table, lightly raced. Another horse I think that may be forgotten about, and again, I don't blame anybody because you've got Improbable coming off of 3 consecutive Grade 1 wins. You've got Maximum Security, who's been a beast. And then you also have just a really deep field, but the one that I kind of can't stop thinking about is Tom's the Top. I got to where you wanted. Tom's the Top, because here's the deal. Would Improbable be coming in with 3 Grade 1 wins if Tom's the Top didn't fall out of the gate in the Whitney?
Yep.
And the other thing is Tom's the Top was at the top of a lot of people's Breeders' Cup Classic list for a very long time ahead of that Whitney performance, or debacle, if you want to, just focus on what happened at the start. But it wasn't until that race and watching him close with such determination to get up for 3rd, just like 2 lengths and change off of Improbable, that's what made me a believer in Tom's the Top. And on top of it, you know me, I love pedigree. Smart Strike, and then I think it's his second dam as a full sister to Candy Ride. It's like, well, you've got a stallion's pedigree. It's amazing. And you got to kind of love the fact that, this dude's put in his dues. I think his dam is by Giant's Causeway, so you get some stamina there. But, I think Tom's the Top has been totally forgotten about.
I just like Al Stahl in a Breeders' Cup Classic.
Yeah, right? That's fun too. Who do you guys like? So you like Tom's the Top. Who do you like, JD?
I'm still back and forth on 2 horses that I've got to decide before our big championship podcast next week. Title ready, I'm kidding.
Hoorah! We've got the Sarge coming on later this week to talk about Saturday, so that's going to be fun. We're really looking forward to that.
I am between Tiz the Law and Authentic.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See,
I think Maximum Security is a toss. That's my stance right now.
Oh, okay.
But that's a nice little preview too.
But where I'm loading up and what I'm excited for, and I cannot believe we went a podcast about the Breeders' Cup, even though it was about Friday, without you mentioning this horse, Ren. Is I am going to be backing a certain starship of a Jubilee Nation after the strong win over War of Will in the Woodbine Mile.
William.
JD,
have you been over to the Cassidy Barn to see William?
No, you know what? I have not been there yet. That's how crazy. Can you believe that? I've not gone and visited my bud Will yet. It's that, we're that busy, like doing stuff, checking stuff out, and trying to bring the Future Stars Friday content in. And also, if this were a normal year, I would be more prone to just barn hopping around. But I'm trying to respect also protocols that are in place. To enter a shed row right now, you have to have your face mask on. How am I going to get a good selfie with him with that going on?
I mean, you have so many from the past, though. You need
I know, right?
one.
I know, I do.
I mean, the one thing I am going to say, though, JD, is if you tout one more Woodbine horse somewhere outside of Woodbine, I want a
I did
Canadian
not
flag
pick
behind
Gretzky.
you.
I did not pick Gretzky the Great. I'm
By the
proud of
way,
that.
we're all sleeping on the biggest Gretzky the Great angle. If you're a Canadian and you're naming a horse after the greatest hockey player in the
it's got to
history
be good.
of
It's got to
sport,
be.
the horse has to be able to run.
Yeah, because you know that they probably, knowing Nyquist was going to stud, you know that they had to have some like that idea, and we're going to reserve that name for the very best. And a lot of times that works out. I mean, look at Frankel, right? But then Matt brought up a great point. Look at what Cordero.
Mm-hmm. McKinsey is another good one.
Yeah, McKinsey is a great example of a name.
Is a good one. There have been
get into a horse, yes.
Yeah, there's a bunch of good ones like that, and Gretzky the Great's going to be on my ticket. The problem is, so is pretty much everybody else in that race.
I know.
It's that wide open.
I agree with you. This is I love this. This has been so much fun. I feel like I need to handicap the rest of the races now too.
Hey, if we've inspired you to do something, that's just fine. You can send us each 5% of your winnings, and we'll all be good. Or you can just use mine and buy your 2-year-old daughter some more toys.
Oh my gosh, she has so many toys already.
I want toys that light up and make really obnoxious sounds.
Wow, don't do that to me. That's so cruel. And
you know what? I've got, I got 2 nieces, 1 nephew, and another nephew on the way. I'm getting this whole fun uncle thing down to pretty much a science.
You're the Funkle.
Yes, that's me. That's me. Funkle Andrew. I'm reserving that for off and pacing because I'm never going to own an actual horse. I'm going to reserve that in off and pacing right now for a son of King Elliot who is named after my cat. That's my contribution to any and all pedigree discussion. And if anyone from off and pacing is watching, tell Pete Aiello I said hello. Anyway.
Oh my God. I used an easy money. I'm sorry. You were about to end it. I used an easy money in one of my Woodbine play of the day write-ups. And the horse did win.
Just be careful. That's all I'm going to say. When you use easy money, look over your shoulder.
Okay.
Anyway, Ren, thank you so much for stopping by. This was so much fun. It was great to reconnect after a couple of years of being in separate places. We got to do this again. And JD, you know what? You're okay too. Let's do this again tomorrow with Sarge. How about that?
Hoorah!
Hoorah.
Hoorah indeed. For JD Fox and Ren Carothers, I'm Andrew Champagne. Best of luck on Future Stars Friday, and stay tuned. We'll have a lot more coming up on Saturday's racing later on this week. If you like what we're doing, hit that subscribe button so you never miss any of our weekly updates. But JD, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be really nice because I was mean to you about your juvenile selection. I'm going to give you the catchphrase to take us home.
Stay off the beaches.
Indeed.